Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Hastings. Today, we're going to walk through one of the workflow applications that's available on the Performance Bridge platform. Specifically, we're going to talk about Exam Resolver. And as a quick reminder, the Performance Bridge platform comes with two applications that are more your traditional analytics-focused applications, and those are quality and productivity. Both reference the same data set, but quality is your data visualization application, so more of your dashboard type of view. And productivity is a traditional report type view with text as opposed to pictures. But those are the two applications that are considered foundational analytics applications. And then other applications that we have running on the platform are focusing more on specific workflow scenarios, solving specific workflow issues. So Exam Resolver, it's an application that's a real-time application that is focused on tracking the workflow for uncompleted, undictated, or unsigned reports. And I want to kind of provide definitions for each one of those three. So in a workflow, a normal workflow, a CT exam, an MR exam is performed, and then that study is sent to PACS, but that study must be completed in the RIS in order to have the trigger, the HL7 message sent to PACS that then populates the radiologist reading work list. So it needs to be completed by the technologist in order to continue the workflow process. The undictated is the initial, whenever a radiologist performs the initial read, a preliminary report or a wet read, so to speak. They do that, and then those preliminary results can be sent back to the ER or other people that are waiting on that report by the radiologist, but that event does not actually trigger anything related to billing. The billing trigger comes when they finalize that report or actually sign the report. So those are the three areas that we're looking at within Exam Resolver. We're tracking uncompleted, undictated, and unsigned exams. So three different areas where a study could get stuck, so to speak, in the workflow. And without Exam Resolver in place, a PACS administrator or system administrator, a director, etc., would need to go into several different systems to look at the information or discover that there was something hanging up that had caused a hang up in the process or that exam to be stuck. So they might have to go into the RIS to look at exams that had not been marked as complete, or into the PACS for exams that didn't have a preliminary report, and maybe the dictation system to see what was unsigned. So fairly inefficient way of doing things. Exam Resolver brings all of those together into a single application and makes it much easier just to track the status. As with most of the applications that we have within Performance Bridge, you can do some customization in terms of displaying the information that's appropriate to you. So and you in your role. So I might be responsible for the entire enterprise, multiple facilities, and I want a global view. Or it could be I'm really focused just on one of my facilities, and so I could select that in order to narrow down my focus and reduce the number of items on the list. I also have the ability to filter it by priority, so I could create different views for stat exams, routine exams, etc. What's displayed here would be the exams that have been received at the PACS. So the study's been sent to PACS, but we don't have the completed status from the RIS. And you can see some of those might be just still scheduling. For some reason, they were hung up in a schedule type status, or they were begun but had not yet been completed. If I select that one, I see more information about the study here, and I can even see information, comments that someone may have put in. So in this example, it was a CT with contrast that was scheduled. The technologist found out that the patient actually had a contrast allergy, and so they reordered it, or were going to reorder it as a no contrast or without contrast type of study. So real good workflow there in terms of just tracking the overall status. On undictated, so now we're switching over to more the radiologist view, or what may have been stuck in the radiologist queue. So I can see, again, the ability to filter by site, etc. If I select an exam, it takes me back to a very similar screen. Here's the information about the study. I can view comments. And in this situation, since we've received images, but we're just waiting on the report, I also have the ability to view images. And this would launch a URL-based viewer, such as a PACS or an EMR viewer, to view the images. And I do have the ability to see a breakdown by, is it 1 day old, 2 days old, etc. The unsigned category, and again, this is the signing the report triggers the professional billing component. So that would be a separate workflow. Once again, listing out all of the studies. You can break it down by radiologist, which radiologists have exams hanging out there that still need to be signed, and how old are they. And we also have the ability to do a kind of a weighted average. So this is some algorithms that we would put in to kind of normalize the view and give an overall turnaround time index. In a way, it's similar to the RVU values, or the same type of approach as far as weighting the type of study and the weighting factor in order to normalize that from one radiologist to another radiologist. The last thing I want to mention on this application is that this one, probably more than some of the other applications within the Performance Bridge platform, really require a lot of due diligence on the front end in order to configure the site appropriately to make sure we're not cluttering up the work list. And so what I mean by that is, I'll just use the uncompleted view as an example. There's many times within normal workflow where an exam should not be dictated by a radiologist, or we shouldn't expect to receive a marked complete exam in the RIS. And so a couple of examples: if a patient brought in studies on a CD and those were imported into PACS, but those images were just being used as a reference or comparison to the current study, then we would not expect that the radiologist would do the dictation on those prior images. That's already been performed. But we see that those images come in, so by default, Exam Resolver would also be waiting for a corresponding mark complete message from the RIS. But in this workflow where they're importing them from a CD, that will never occur. So we just need to configure the system to exclude that from the work list, so we don't clutter up the work list that we're viewing here. The same thing would be true in terms of some types of imaging steps within the workflow. You may have some exams that are just non-reportable, or you're not going to have a dictation. So there's really some variation in normal workflow within a department that we need to fully understand in order to properly configure Exam Resolver to filter out all the noise and only show the information that needs to be displayed. So I appreciate your time. If you have any additional questions on Exam Resolver, please reach out to your local Philips representative. Thank you.